Namaste, everyone. So since the beginning of last week itself, I have been bombarded with questions regarding the upcoming Saturn transit in Aquarius. Okay. And for those, who are really interested or who follow jyotish very keenly, Saturn, which is the planet of karma and karmic fruits, is moving into the sign of Aquarius on the 17th of January, 2023. Okay. And you know it's it's changing sign at 10:05 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Okay, so at 10:05 a.m. it is moving into Aquarius, and this is the sidereal Aquarius that we are talking about, not a tropical zodiac. And the planet Saturn will stay in Aquarius till March 29, 2025. And between this period, it will also become retrograde. But then this event of Saturn coming into the Mula Trikona is very, very important for a lot of reasons. Okay. Firstly, a few words about Saturn, transit Saturn, that is. So the transit of Saturn is the slowest as compared to the transits of other planets in the Jyotish system. And its influence is fundamentally important in all sorts of predictive astrology. Okay, because Saturn rules the Dushthanas, it also rules the natural 10th and 11th house of the chart. Okay, of the Kalpurush Kundali, that is. Now, when Saturn transits into sidereal Aquarius, it enters its Mula Trikona Rashi. Mula Trikona is like the office. This is, the Mula Trikona is very beloved and a very comfortable sign for the planet. And, in the sign of Aquarius, Saturn will be able to manifest all the Saturnine qualities that it has. Okay. And thirdly, Saturn, as we all know, is the personification of karma. It is the planet that gives you your karmic fruits. So its transition symbolizes the beginning of a new fateful stage of development. Okay. Now a few words about the sign of Aquarius. All right. So Aquarius is under the influence of two planets at once. Okay. Aquarius has two rulers, Saturn and also Rahu. Okay. And that is the reason why Aquarius is regarded as the sign of research. Okay. It is the sign of, people who you can compare to Dr. X or Dr. Strange. Okay. And these people are very unpredictable in their actions. They are very freedom loving and they are not attached to anything except for ideals, innovations, and ideas born by their fantastic mind. Okay. Accustomed to acting at the junction of different systems and also ahead of time. Okay. And these people have enough courage to fly thoughts, which of course, cannot but admire. But at the same time, the influence of Rahu can make these people rebels. Okay. People or rebels who go against the system, which is not to the liking of the elites. Okay. Now, Aquarius is the last sign where you enter into the freedom of Pisces. So, Aquarius energies and ignorance give birth to desperate and dangerous radicals for the society. And so, all of these moods will be in the air throughout the entire 2 year of Saturn in the sign. And of course, the world will face, the world will face as with the beneficent manifestations of the sign. All right. Now, between April 29 and July 12th, 2022, we had a little experience of, of living the transit of Saturn in Aquarius until the planet began its retrograde movement. Yes, it came into Aquarius from Capricorn and then it retrograded back into Capricorn. And, it returned to the sign of Capricorn for another 6 months or half a year. Okay. And for those who are old enough, you can try to remember what events happened in your life 30 years ago. Okay, that means in the first Saturn cycle, for those born between March 1993 and June 1995 would very well remember. Okay, so now coming to the predictions for the transit of Saturn in sidereal Aquarius for all signs of the zodiac. And these predictions are relevant for the for the ascendant as well as for the moon sign. You can read it from both the ascendant and the moon sign. Okay, now these are very generalized predictions. Okay, for more accurate results, I invite you to to take a personal consultation where you can discuss any issues that concern you in various areas of life. Look at the astrological periods that raise certain scenarios in your personal horoscope at current time, and also choose methods for harmonizing negative planetary influences. Okay, now let's come to the sign of Aries. So if you're Aries Lagna or Aries Moon, Saturn will transit through the 11th house, which of course symbolizes growth and profit. And Saturn transiting its own sign in the 11th house will give a positive result. Okay, the general rule for Saturn transits is it will give you good results if it's transiting the 3rd, 6th, and 11th from the moon or from Lagna. Okay, and despite the fact that Saturn has the energy of compression, in this case, the key success factor in transit is the Aquarius approach to making a profit, namely unconventional, original, bold thinking, and the support of a group of like-minded people. So contacts can expand, and all of a sudden there can be an appearance of high-ranking influential people in the environment. But then ambitions in such a transit should not be reckless. Okay, there is the possibility of having children with other indications, for you if you are an Aries moon or an Aries ascendant. Okay, for Taurus, you may have new businesses, new opportunities opening up in businesses. There can be promotions at work, and there could also be change of some kind of field or place of activity. And great emphasis is placed precisely on social realization, where great luck is likely, because for Taurus, Saturn is the Yoga Karaka, and this Yoga Karaka coming to the 10th house, it forms the royal combination of success in in business and in profits. Okay, for Gemini, Saturn is coming to the 9th house, so it can complicate the relationship with the father. The health of the father may deteriorate, or some difficulties may come into the father's life. Okay, so try to provide him with all-round help and support to the best of your ability if you're a Gemini moon or a Gemini rising sign. But if you're a Gemini rising sign, then Saturn, this transit of Saturn can be a boon, because the last 2.5 years has been pretty difficult for Gemini rising people. Okay, on the positive side, it is a great time to reconsider your worldview, realize the true motives and meanings of religious practices, maybe meet a guru or mentor, maybe receive initiation, acquire new knowledge, for example, a second higher education. Maybe you would be interested to go for PhD or something like that. Okay, now if you give out immature reactions to the events that unfold in your life, and you fail to respect the Saturnine qualities of honesty, respect for time and hierarchies, structures, so you may end up losing your luck, because 9th house is also the house of luck, and that can be terrible. But then if since Jupiter is transitioning to Aries in 2023, towards April, it can also provide an opportunity for pregnancy and the birth of children. Okay, now for Cancer, this may seem to be a difficult transit, because Saturn will be moving through the 8th house, and it can bring about many changes in life, and that can lead to stress. Okay, so it is recommended that you be careful and do not provoke extreme situations in life. For example, extreme sports, extreme travel, and so on. All right, now since 8th house is also the house of is the house of other people's money, inheritance, social payments, etc., so you are likely to receive them. If you're trying to solve a properties issue since long, it's going to be resolved. Okay, if you're having some kind of notarial issues, they're likely to be to be resolved, and it can also provide access to your partner's resources. Maybe your the spouse of your father, sorry, the father of your spouse, I'm really sorry, the father of your spouse may end up giving you a huge, huge loan, or maybe may leave behind a huge amount of money for you. Okay. But then the greatest thing for Cancer ascendant, or, Cancer moon, is that this 8th house transit of Saturn can open the doors to, to learning secret knowledge, to learning a new Vidya that is not commonly available, or something that you have been waiting to learn for long. Okay. Now for Leo. Okay. So, you have every chance to meet the love of your life. Okay. You have every chance to get married. And for those who have already found it, they can take their relationship to a new level and, officially register a marriage, because, during this time, or during this period of time, both Saturn and Jupiter are wanting to bless it. Okay. So Jupiter, as I said, it moves to the sign of Aries in April. So, these two heavy transits of Saturn and Jupiter can bring about family expansion and also the birth of children. Okay. For Virgo, this transit will be good because, Saturn is transiting the 6th house, But then Saturn here enters the house of enemies, deaths, and diseases. So it can also activate these topics. Okay. Be attentive to your health, especially if you are suffering from chronic diseases. And, don't have a tendency to accumulate negative emotions inside yourself. Okay. Because, it can, when Shani moves to your 6th house, it can result in psychosomatic health disorders. Okay. Now, as far as enemies are concerned, you can deal with it by healthy competition. Okay. For example, if your activity is related to competition, or if you're trying to, look for employment in a new place, this is a good transit for you because you'll be able to overcome it. But then be careful of litigations. Some pending litigations may become alive all of a sudden. Okay. And since Virgo is the sign of service, so the best harmonization for this transit is to engage in a service to other people. Okay. Or maybe render service in the temples, maybe in a Hanuman temple or in a Kali temple every Saturday and Tuesday. Okay. For Libra, Saturn is transiting the 5th house. So all your attention will be, revolving on the affairs of children. Okay. And if you're a student, your attention will be revolving around your studies. And the children will require increased participation and investment of effort. And, if you are in a romantic relationship, if you're in love with someone, then deliberate romance may not be enough. Okay. But then, given the upcoming transition of Jupiter into Aries, a change in matrimonial status can be predicted. Okay. And, if you are single, you are likely to meet your future partner during this time. All right. Now, this transit of Saturn through the 5th house can also increase the craving for chanting mantras, for reading scriptures, or visiting temples. Okay. And there would be an urge to obtain knowledge and education related to whatever you wanted to do as a child. Okay. So for the sign of Scorpio, Saturn is transiting to the 4th house. So usually 4th house Saturn is regarded as Kantak Shani. Okay, 8th house Saturn for Cancer will be regarded as Ashtam Shani. So they are usually not regarded as very good transits. But then, this transit of Saturn through the 4th house will bring changes in connection with real estate, whether you may be moving to a new house, or maybe you'll be repairing your old house, or maybe you'll be engaging in some kind of sale or purchase of property. Okay, now since 4th house is the house of, house of happiness, so a planet like Saturn can cause mental tension or discontentment with everything. Okay, the relationship with your mother can be very intense, either for good or for bad reasons. And, there could be some changes coming up in the life of your mother. Okay, and maybe you would be required to participate actively in those changes. Okay, so take care of your mother's health, which is of paramount importance, if I could put it that way. Okay. For Sagittarius, Saturn blesses the birth of children, because it is transiting the 3rd house. Okay. And it also if you take into account the upcoming transition of Jupiter into Aries, it will be a bit easier with income and finances. Okay. because finally Saturn stops bringing restrictive energies into the house of profit. And you may end up taking a lot of frequent short trips for work or for pleasure. Okay, so overall, it's a good time for a Sagittarius moon or a Sagittarius lagna. All right. For Capricorn ascendant, Saturn moves into the second house, which is, of course, the sign of Mula Trikona. And, this transit of Saturn will have a high energy mixed with contraction and limitation. But then it'll be acting favorably in monetary matters, allowing you to receive a decent reward. Okay. Now, because the second house is the house of family, so you need to pay more attention to relationships within your father's family, within your paternal family. Okay. And given the transition of Jupiter into Aries in April 2023, so you could be gaining big if you are engaged in real estates. Okay. And it can also lead to relocations. It can also lead to purchase and sale of property. All right. At the right time. Next, we come to Aquarius, where Saturn is transiting the first house of personality. And since Saturn is already the ruler of this first house, it will bring many changes in life. Okay. And these changes will be very fundamental and very vital for the next 30 years. Okay. It will set the foundation for the next 30 years of your life. So this is a time of high transformation, and get ready for that. But it will be likable. Okay. Because if you're born in Capricorn or Aquarius, you can work with the Saturnine energies. You love those energies. Okay. You'll be very comfortable with the Saturnine energies. And since Jupiter in Aries is transiting, since Jupiter is transiting in Aries from 2023, so there could be a change in marital status. Or if you're a single, it can actually lead to the meeting with your future life partner. Okay. For Pisces, Saturn will be transiting the 12th house, and this can all of a sudden bring your attention to the themes of God, of spirituality and detachment. Okay. And as a remedy, the most simple yet very effective remedy would be to take a long pilgrimage, okay, and indulge in some spiritual practices like yoga and meditation. Okay, because Saturn in the 12th house will tend to isolate and restrict external contacts. And because 12th house is also the house of loss, so there could be an increase in spending. Okay, so be careful with your spending, because you can suddenly deplete your bank balance. Okay, and it can also lead to some kind of loss in business. All right. And if Jupiter is well placed in your chart, it can release you from everything that does not bring you good. Now, such a release may not seem very comfortable, may not seem very favorable in the beginning, but towards the end, you'll realize that such a release was essential, because it was not causing you any sort of profit. It was not causing you any sort of good. Okay. So this is about my prediction for Saturn in various houses for different moon signs and for different ascendant lords, and try to see if it resonated with you. Try to see if these changes happen with you. Okay. And if you have any questions or doubts regarding the transit, kindly reach out for a personal consultation. The number is given in the description box. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you soon in another video. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.